So, I was going through all of my flash drives and I stumbled across this. This is a 4 GB flash drive with all of the photos of my first ever simulator I've built about 2 years ago on it. Let's check it out. Let's go over to, I think it's DCIM, and then it would be this one. This is the first ever picture I took of my simulator. In fact, this is a simulator that I haven't even ever shown on my YouTube channel. This brings back memories. So, right here's the first ever simulator I've built. It's very rudimentary, and in fact, the sides of it are actually made of duct tape. So, this is 2 years ago, probably a little bit more, 2 or 3, probably 2.5. But you'll see we have this structure, it's made of foam, and the structure is PVC. This is back when I wasn't really going for realism, and this was all just kind of there. Here's it from another angle. I personally really think this is cool. I remember we have this shelf right here, so I could put stuff on it when I was working. I thought that was very smart. Yeah, I like the shelf idea. There was just a lot of weird stuff. You'll see there's the 2 front seats as well as even a back seat. This was a pretty insane simulator, if I say so myself, and it was painted or duct taped to replicate an American Airlines retired airplane. It's really cool. You can see the structure right here, the PVC pipe. I just painted that black so that it wouldn't be too apparent, but it certainly is blocking the where the windshield would be. Though that could be realistic for a tail dragger airplane, where the bar is in the windshield. Wow. Here's a view from the side. I put all these decals on with shipping tape to kind of laminate them, and this I was actually proud of because I got the POH, and this was my first time I scaled up an image to get the rough shape. Though this is not 100% correct, and I kind of eyeballed a lot of it, as you can see right here, and the duct tape isn't applied very nicely here. This was really cool for my age. Wow, living the dream. I don't know. Here's another picture, just more clear. But yeah, you can see the bench here. That was a party, a hoot and a half. Though these seats weren't actually on rails. You'll see if we zoom in, you can see that these are just stubs, and you'd have to pick up the chair. These chairs are heavy, and push it forward. Yeah, you can get these chairs kind of inexpensively, just if you go on your local Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace, or like a garage sale potentially, or a scrapyard, and you can get car chairs that look like airplane chairs because they're manufactured pretty similarly. Here's a view from the front. Oh wow. It looks more like a car or a truck than a simulator. I'm gonna be 100% honest. You can see the place right here for storage, and right here is an electronics lab kit. Of course, the electronics I used were not that complex. It was mainly switches and nothing else. But I still had that kit, and I could learn about stuff if I wanted to. Though I never actually went very deep into this kit. I actually have it running. I actually have this kit somewhere in the other room, so I'm gonna have to dig into that. It's really fun. There's some cool stuff in it. You'll also see right here the glare shield. The glare shield was made out of foam, and it was super flimsy, and it'd flake off the little foam parts. And we even have the solar dancer right there. Right here, you'll see we have a landing light. Even though that would be on the wing, there are no wings, so I put it up there, and it's actually wired with a 9-volt battery down to the landing light switch, which I thought was cool. And that was my first kind of dive into electronics. Here's it from another angle, and you'll actually see right here I had a service door. So I could open the door right there, put some stuff in it, to go work under it like I'm a mechanic, come back up, a little lightheaded, just kidding. That's where I would access underneath. Though that was a very bad decision, as any small adjustment I'd have to go under there. It would be, I think, a much better option would be to build the panel outside of a structure, like my current simulator is. Here's it from yet another angle, and you'll actually see right here a sink. Yes. Don't ask why. But right here, I would put, the idea was to put a 2-liter bottle of soda right here, as well as another one, and you'd have it so that the hot tap would go to Sprite and the cold tap would go to root beer. That would be the main idea, and you'll even see right here a mouse trim wheel. It's actually the same mouse I'm using right now, which is kind of funny. But yeah, my idea was to use the mouse yoke, the mouse as a trim wheel, though I haven't figured that out yet. It's right up against my sister's end of the basement, which caused some contention. I also have Christmas lights up here, because it's a festive simulator. Those are kind of like courtesy lights, I guess. Yeah. We didn't bother having there be a roof here. I probably should have, though. That'd be more realistic. Here's a view from inside, and you'll see that the panel is completely unpainted. It's the OBS, and I believe we got this OBS for free, which is a good one, which is a good thing. We got this little radio as the handheld mic, though it did not work very well. Oh well. Let's see. Yeah, we have this right here, and you'll see that I so perfectly cut the small holes. I cut one right here and one right here, but then noticed that the monitor ends right here and had to kind of squeeze it over there. This was before I was experimenting with Air Manager or even FS Panel Studio or SynVim, and so I would put Virtual Cockpit on and I'd fly, and the instruments would jiggle around outside of their holes. It was hilarious. I also have never had working rotary encoders with this simulator. Here you'll see my rudimentary switch panel. You have the landing light right here and the taxi light. These are the only two labeled because I think they're the only two that function. You also have the master switch that isn't hooked up to anything, but the buttons, they move back and forth, so that's a plus. And you also have the key. I think at this moment the key wasn't hooked up to anything, not even a switch, so it would just kind of rotate around freely, which was pretty interesting, and it would even fall out sometimes, which was really funny. Yeah, it was again unpainted plywood, and the yoke was actually very low to make space for the monitor that would be right up here. Right here you'll see my mouse yoke, and we're actually using the same mouse again. I think different mouse, same model. You'll see the other half of my switch panel, as well as the monitor holes. And again, the monitor goes right through here, so the yoke has to be very low. You'll see some of my structure right here. There's a 3-way PVC half-inch pipe adapter that goes through and makes all of the joints. They're not very strong, and the whole simulator actually sways if you shake your chair enough, which is really funny. Here are the rudder pedals. They would often have sawdust on them because I would drill in through the holes and forget to remove them. But you can actually check right here that there's actually a screw in the rudder pedals to keep the rudder pedals on the ground, which was really cool. I'd use a shop vac and just clean these up before I'd fly. This is probably not the recommended way to do it. If you're going to do this, install your rudder pedals very last. And if you absolutely have to fly, put them in and take them out, or use the joystick, or use a joystick for rudders. Let's see. Here is the push-to-talk handheld radio. You'll tell it's a very focused photo, or at least the back of it is. But yeah, this is a like army, just like a play army radio that makes it just slightly louder so it doesn't annoy parents. But yeah, and there's only one little microphone hole, and there's not the best microphone inside of it, so the audio quality wasn't very good. And you can see it here too. Oh. The monitor mount was not using the Visa monitor mount in the back. It was actually using these PVC circles. So I had a hole saw, and I'd use the hole saw to take out the circles, and then I'd use those same circles on the side at an angle to fix the monitor. I also used these brackets on the bottom to just shove the monitor into it, and that worked fairly well. And you could also press the glare shield to turn on the on button, because the glare shield was just resting on the monitor. Here's some of my wire management. All of the wires went to a single power outlet, and this is the monitor cord. That is, I believe, a charger of some sort, or the lights. But yeah, that's the very basic power management. I didn't do any of my own wiring or soldering, but I did connect these. I did connect this wire to there with like electrical tape. It wasn't the best system, but I've learned so much since this, so I can make a simulator a lot better than this. And yeah, you can also see that I have all of my cords labeled. So this is the Logitech Pro, I believe, rudder pedals. Yeah, and then we also have a 90-degree bracket here. Again, lots of sawdust and wood chips. This is not the best solution, and I just duct taped this radio to the panel. This is something I'm really proud of. You can actually get your hinges and take out the pin, and then the door can basically fall off. So you could actually try this at your home if you have a very good relationship with your parents. That's a funny joke. So yeah, you can take the center pin out of a hinge, and then the two parts can separate, and this way I could easily remove a door and it wouldn't be in the way anymore. That rhymes. Here's another angle from the side. This time I put the Cessna decal on. As for the door, the knob was super tiny, was not realistic like the pole arm door they have on the real Cessna, and the tolerances weren't up to snuff. So you could see there's about an inch of clearance right here. The doors would also sometimes swing open, so it wasn't the best system, but it worked, and it was a ton of fun. The nostalgia in this slideshow is crazy, guys. Oh yeah, here you can see the access panel that is open. Right here, it's giving access to the rudder pedals. And another thing with the rudder pedals is I really should have taken them out, and never put them in, because I would actually lie over the rudder pedals and it'd be poking my back, and I'd be working on stuff. Something important with that is wear safety glasses, because all the dust is just gonna come in your eyes and your mouth and your nose. Nasty. At this point, I didn't have a 3D printer, so I actually asked one of my friends to print everything. So I had like 3 3D printed parts, and I just kept them in this little box and was like, one day I'm going to use these. I don't know what this thing is all about. I think that's just a junk box. Yeah, here's our hockey table, which has since been removed. Let's see. Oh, you got the same picture, but with flash. Wow. This actually has a lock right here, so you can lock it and not let anyone use your service door. And then you could put this pin in there. Yeah, here's my landing light again. It actually illuminates when you flick a switch. Yeah, this landing light switch controls this. I also had these little above headlamps, and these would work pretty well. If you pressed it, it works kind of similar to the real airplane, so that was a plus, although the location of the button is in a different spot. I also had an above panel. In fact, I'll grab it right now. I actually had 2 above panels. One of them, these basically act as overhead panels, like in a 737. But here they are actually. So you'll see right here, we're actually looking at the part that says 1 to 10 keyboard, and then there's a little screenshot of the slew commands if I ever need to use those. And there was going to be a keyboard right here that you just press and use the slew commands. Though this is less realistic now that so I don't think I'll incorporate this in my new simulator. Here's the back of the Cessna. This is the bench I used, and there were actually seat belts, so that was really cool. You could fasten your seat belts and just have fun flight. One of the funny things is this was actually mounted on bricks, which made the simulator very heavy. Here's a better picture. This was the bottom of the sink I showed earlier, the soda sink. It never functioned, but it was a really fun idea, and you could turn all the levers, and it's just really funny. These wires are actually to a sprinkler valve that would control the flow, so you could shut it off if you don't want any soda, or if you have a soda emergency. Here's my other panel. I believe that's this one. I've since removed the labels, but it has system failures for like the static port, pitot tube, electrical, right brake, left brake. I'm not sure how I would interface these to date. When I first had them all like this, I just assumed you'd poof, make it work. But yeah, I never got it to work. This was a tour of my Cessna 172 simulator. It was, wow, it was a lot of fun work, and I've done a lot of failures. In fact, even one of the failures was that I couldn't get a piece of wood big enough to fit through the car, so I had it in 2 pieces. There were just so many failures and so many learning opportunities. So this was a really fun project I did 2 years ago, and it brings up back a ton of nostalgia for me to look at it now. This is definitely not like Hollywood airplane material or like Cessna material. In fact, one of the other things you'll see is I even screwed a yardstick onto the side to give it support. This is definitely not the strongest simulator ever, and it definitely has its flaws, but I'm showing you this to hopefully convince you that you don't have to have a perfect simulator. There can be tons of flaws, and you can still have it really cool. Perfectionism is the enemy of good, and back here I wasn't as perfectionist as I am now, and I've gotten a way bigger simulator. I hope this video kind of motivated you, and thank you for sharing this moment with me. I hope you have an excellent day, and I'll see you in the next video. You can be quiet now.